Cold Desert Sands. Written by James Norfolk. Read by Adam Nichol. On the day that my life changed, I woke up late. I remember that. I woke up late because I had switched my phone to voice control setting, and it had interpreted my half-awake mumblings as an order to snooze the alarm. So, I woke up 5 minutes late, which is a big deal for me. I remember I got dressed, quickly, and then ran downstairs to the front door. I was through the door by the time I thought to get something to eat. The door had closed behind me by the time I had realized I had not picked up my phone. I turned and grabbed the doorknob, but it would not turn. I could rattle the knob, but it would not budge the door. The door had locked behind me. When I had turned away from the door in frustration, I quickly turned my back toward it, in the hope that its presence would reassure me that I had not lost my mind. The shape of the house was still before me, a red door with a gold-coloured knob, a matching letter flap, the number 34 underneath a small square window. Another, bigger window about 3.5 feet to the right, with the curtains open, revealing my untidy living room, and 2 upstairs windows shadowed by the roof's overhang. The features of my familiar, comforting house were still in front of me. However, they were now located in the red sands of a strange, decidedly unfamiliar desert. It would be a while before I fully took in my surroundings, busy as I was, alternating between shoulder barging the front door and hammering on the front windows. I do remember that I tried to get to the back of the house, but no matter how many times I walked around the perimeter, I was always facing the front, like it was turning to face me. No, I didn't take in the desert until after I'd cried for a while, either in panic or desperation. I forget which. At that moment all I knew was that I was in some kind of desert, and I should not be. I should be on my street, annoyed that I had locked myself out, frustrated that I had left my phone in my house. Definitely not in a desert environment. The first thing I truly noticed about the desert was the absence of heat. It was cold to the point that my breath misted in the air, despite the presence of not 1, but 3 suns. A purple sun, a blue sun, and a more recognizable familiar orange sun. The only way to describe the effects of these 3 suns' different light waves is nauseating. No, distinctly nauseating. Focusing on the suns in the azure sky did not cause you to squint or close your eyes. I just started to feel very, very sick. The rest of the desert was featureless. A flat plain, or orange sand and gravel as far as the eye could see in every direction, except for my house behind me, and a scraggly tree so far in the distance it looked like a tiny bonsai tree. If I held my thumb up to the horizon, I could completely cover it. After a while of doing this, covering the tree with my thumb and uncovering it, I noticed the sickening light start to fade, to be replaced by the light of 2 beautiful moons. This turned the desert sands into a wonderful silver. I could not tell you how it did this. The moons looked close enough to touch, like if you held your hand up you could scratch them and leave gentle tracks in their shimmering surfaces. I did not try to do this. I was a little sad to see the moons pass over and be replaced by those 3 ghastly suns. After 3 more nights and days, although I don't know if they were as long as our days, I decided to press my face up against my living room window. Everything was still as I had left it, which I thought was a shame, as it meant that nobody had been to look for me. Or I thought it meant that. On my 5th day, I walked around the house, dragging my foot in the dirt. I made a circle. I made 6 circles. The moons rolled over my head, and I made 17 circles, bigger and bigger around my domain. I walked the tree on the 10th day. I felt I'd put off the excursion long enough. It was a bonsai tree. I kicked it over and jumped up and down on it. I ate it, though I was not hungry. I realized I had not been hungry the entire time I'd been here. I had not been hungry, I had not slept. I had no need of either of these things, but I ate the bonsai tree. I hated the tree. The tree had been a disappointment. The tree had ruined my plans for the day. I chewed through the tiny branches and gnawed at the thick, stubby bark, and I swallowed the leaves. When I sat back on the front step of my house and looked back to where the tree had been, I found the tree had reappeared exactly as it was. Exactly where it was. I spent entire days looking into my house. A man had moved in. My possessions had been removed, and this man had filled my home with his own belongings. I hammered on the window, but he did not seem to notice me. I watched him until it became saddening. Then I ate the tree again. I watched them until it became boring, and I buried the bonsai tree till only one leaf was visible. He was not a nice man. I am sure he has seen me looking in through the window. He smiled when I looked in through the window. I have since stopped looking. Now he has moved in. I have given up on the house now. Since this man has moved in, he knows I am here. He looks like me. He looks like me looking at me. I see him sometimes as I sit in the desert. As I sit in these cold sands, I look back at the house with the corner of my eye, the periphery of my vision, and I see him looking at me, looking like me. Cold Desert Sands was written by James Norfolk and read by Adam Nichol. More audio plays can be found at Tales of the Old Oil House at www.oldoilhouse.co.uk. Pleasant dreams.